Hi Scorpio Sun, Moon and Rising signs, welcome. This is your 2026 August forecast. If you feel called to watch this reading but you don't have any Scorpio placements, you're more than welcome to still stay and watch. There's probably a message in this video that you're meant to hear. I'm going to start with a very quick overview of what's happening astrologically in August, and then we'll move into the tarot questions just to see how these energies may be affecting you personally. As always, please remember this is a collective reading, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Let's get straight into it. So August is a significant month for Scorpio because the eclipses are activating both your public life and the parts of your life that bring you genuine emotional fulfillment. The Leo Solar Eclipse around August 12th falls in the area of your chart connected to career, reputation, purpose, and how you're seen by the world. This could begin a new chapter around your work, your business, leadership, or the direction you want your life to take. You may feel pushed to become more visible, to take yourself more seriously, or to step into a role that comes with greater responsibility. Because Leo and Scorpio are both fixed signs, this growth may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you have been holding onto an identity or path that no longer reflects who you're becoming. At the same time, Pluto is continuing to transform your home, family, and emotional foundations. So while something may be expanding publicly, you could also be questioning whether your private life and current support systems can carry the future you're creating. Towards the end of the month, the Pisces Lunar Eclipse activates romance, creativity, children, pleasure, and joy. Something emotional may reach a turning point here. You could receive clarity around a romantic situation, complete a creative chapter, or realize what's been preventing you from fully enjoying your life. This eclipse may bring an unexpected revelation, but it can also help you release fear, control, or emotional patterns that have made it difficult to follow your heart. Overall, August is asking Scorpio to step into greater visibility without abandoning their emotional needs. Success may be calling you forward, but your private life, daily routines, and inner foundation must be strong enough to support it. So moving on to tarot, and our first question: what identity or version of themselves is Scorpio leaving behind in August? So you're leaving behind the identity of someone who constantly feels as though they've had to defend their position, prove themselves, or fight to be taken seriously. With the Seven of Wands, you may have become used to protecting what you have built, standing your ground, or feeling as though other people are always questioning your choices. There's strength in this card, but there can also be exhaustion. You may have been operating as though you always need to remain guarded or prepared for opposition. The Six of Wands shows that a lot of this may be connected to recognition and validation. You may have felt that you needed to achieve something visible, to win, succeed, or receive approval in order to know that you were on the right path. And with the Hierophant, some Scorpios may also be leaving behind an identity built around what they were taught they should be. This could involve following a traditional career path, meeting family or societal expectations, or measuring success according to standards that were handed to you by someone else. There may have been a belief that you had to earn your place by proving yourself within an existing system, but August is asking whether that system still represents you. This doesn't mean you're losing your ambition or walking away from everything you've accomplished. It feels more like you're becoming less dependent on external approval and less willing to keep fighting for a position that no longer feels aligned. You don't need to defend every decision. You don't need everyone to understand your path, and you may no longer be interested in achieving something simply because other people would consider it successful. Now, the next question is, what is the Leo Solar Eclipse beginning for Scorpio? Okay, so Judgement feels like a very clear awakening or calling. Something may be becoming impossible for you to ignore, especially around your purpose, your career, or the direction you know you're meant to take. This can be the moment where you stop questioning whether you're ready and finally respond to what's been calling you forward. There may also be a decision here that closes an old chapter and allows you to step into a completely different version of your life. The Knight of Swords here shows that once this realization arrives, this could begin moving quickly. There may be an important conversation, announcement, offer, or sudden opportunity that requires you to make a decision without spending months overthinking it. Just be mindful by moving so quickly that you skip over important details. This energy is powerful, but it needs direction. You're not being asked to rush blindly. You're being asked to stop delaying something you already know. And then we have the Empress, which keeps appearing for other signs in this series as well. So there's definitely a larger collective theme throughout August around creation, growth, abundance, and people stepping into a more receptive, empowered version of themselves. For Scorpio specifically, the Empress suggests this eclipse is beginning something that has real potential to grow. This may be a business, a creative project, a new career direction, or simply a version of you that's more confident in what you bring to the world. There's also a shift here from constantly fighting to prove your value into recognizing that your value already exists. You may not need to chase every opportunity. The right things may begin responding to the confidence, creativity, and self-worth you're embodying. This eclipse really feels like a wake-up call followed by a decisive movement, and then the birth of something much more abundant. So the next question is, what is expanding for Scorpio in love, creativity, or personal fulfillment? Okay, so the Six of Cups brings the past into this reading. Someone from your history may reappear, old feelings could resurface, or you may find yourself reflecting on a time when love, creativity, or life felt simpler. For some Scorpios, this could involve reconnecting with a person, but it may also be about reconnecting with a part of yourself, a dream you once had, something you loved doing as a child, or a version of you that existed before life became so heavy or complicated. The Seven of Swords suggests that something has been avoided, hidden, or left unspoken. In love, someone may not have been completely honest about their feelings or intentions. However, this does not always have to mean deliberate deception. It can also represent emotional avoidance, someone keeping their distance, pretending they don't care, or quietly leaving a situation rather than having the difficult conversation. You may also be recognizing the ways you've been holding yourself back. Perhaps you've been protecting yourself by expecting disappointment, keeping your plans private, or convincing yourself that something you want is unrealistic. The Three of Wands shows expansion beyond this old pattern. Your focus is beginning to move forward from what has already happened and towards what may still be possible. You're being encouraged to look further ahead, explore new opportunities, and to stop allowing a past experience to determine the future. So what's expanding may not simply be an old relationship returning. It could be your understanding of that relationship and your ability to choose differently now. Creatively, this can also show an old idea being revived and developed into something much larger. Something you once abandoned may still have potential, but you may need a new strategy or a different vision for how you move it forward. There's a strong message here that the past may return for reflection, but your future's not behind you. It's waiting for you to turn around and look towards it. Now, the next question is, what relationship truth does Scorpio need to see in August? Okay, so the Ace of Swords suggests that clarity is coming into a situation that may have previously felt confusing. A conversation, realization, or piece of information could finally allow you to see this connection for what it truly is, rather than what you hoped it might become. The Page of Swords can show someone who's curious, watching from a distance, or thinking much more than they're speaking. There may be communication here, but it can feel cautious, inconsistent, or emotionally detached. Someone may want to know what you are doing and how you feel without being willing to reveal very much about themselves. With both the Ace and Page of Swords, the truth may be that this connection's been living too heavily in the mind. There may have been overthinking, analysing messages, or trying to read between the lines when a direct and honest conversation is what is actually needed. The Seven of Pentacles shows that you've already invested time, energy, or emotion into this situation. You may now be questioning whether it's genuinely growing or whether you've been waiting for potential rather than receiving something substantial. The Page of Pentacles does show the possibility of an offer or a new beginning, but it's still small. Someone may be willing to take a step forward, learn how to do things differently, or begin building something more stable. However, this is not yet the energy of a fully established commitment. The potential is there, but it would need patience, consistency, and real effort. And then we have the Queen of Cups, which feels very much like Scorpio's emotional energy. You may understand this person deeply, perhaps even seeing the feelings they struggle to express. But the truth you need to see is that your emotional understanding cannot do all of the work for them. Compassion is beautiful, but it should not require you to ignore your own needs or continue waiting indefinitely. This relationship may have emotional depth, but August asks whether it also has honest communication and something tangible being built. Feelings matter, but actions are what allow those feelings to become a relationship. The next question is what's happening around Scorpio's home, family, or emotional foundations in August? Okay, this feels like a very heavy area of the reading. The Ten of Wands suggests you may be carrying more responsibility than is sustainable, possibly taking on emotional, practical, or financial burdens that should not entirely belong to you. Within the home or family, you may have become the person who keeps everything functioning, the one who deals with the difficult situations, or the one everyone expects to remain strong. But there's a point where strength becomes overextension, and August may make it impossible to ignore just how exhausted you've become. The Two of Swords shows that a decision may have been delayed. You might already know that something needs to change, but part of you's been avoiding looking at it directly because either choice could create discomfort. There could be an unknown issue within the family, uncertainty around a living situation, or a boundary you know needs to be established. This card often appears when keeping the peace has temporarily felt easier than confronting the truth. Then the Devil suggests that the situation may involve an unhealthy attachment, obligation, or repeating family pattern. This could be guilt, control, financial dependence, or the belief that you're responsible for keeping everyone else comfortable. For some Scorpios, there may also be a home environment or emotional dynamic that you've outgrown but still feel tied to. The Devil can make something feel impossible to leave, even when part of you knows that the connection is being maintained through fear rather than genuine alignment. And the Nine of Swords here shows how long you've been dealing with this. You may feel guarded, tired, or as though you're constantly waiting for the next problem to appear. You've survived a lot, but you're not meant to remain in survival mode forever. August may bring a point where you finally recognize that carrying everything is not the same as creating stability. You may need to make a difficult decision, release an unhealthy responsibility, or establish a boundary that protects your emotional energy. You're resilient, but resilience does not mean accepting the same burden indefinitely. Now we're going to look at what is the Pisces Lunar Eclipse asking Scorpio to release. Okay, so the Ace of Cups here suggests there's an emotional beginning, a relationship or opportunity that you may have placed a great deal of hope into. You may have believed that this would finally bring the love, healing, or fulfillment you've been waiting for. But with the Wheel of Fortune here, something around this situation may have changed unexpectedly. The timing may not have unfolded as you imagined. Circumstances may have shifted, or the connection may have taken you through a cycle of emotional highs and lows. The wheel can also show a repeating pattern. Something may return whenever you begin moving forward, reopening your emotions, making you wonder whether this time will be different. Then we have the Four of Cups, which suggests disappointment, emotional withdrawal, or becoming so focused on one particular outcome that you struggle to recognize what else is being offered. For some Scorpios, this eclipse may be asking you to release an attachment to the way an emotional beginning was supposed to happen. The Ace of Cups is still present, so the capacity for love, healing, and renewal has not disappeared, but you may need to stop expecting it to arrive through one specific person or situation. You could also be releasing emotional numbness. After experiencing the same cycle repeatedly, you may have protected yourself by disconnecting from your feelings or convincing yourself that you no longer care. But this eclipse is not asking you to close your heart. It's asking you to release the disappointment, stagnation, or attachment that has prevented your heart from receiving something new. The wheel is turning regardless, and the more you accept that a chapter has changed, the easier it becomes to recognize the new emotional opportunity appearing in front of you. Now we're going to look at what can become stable for Scorpio after August. All right, this is a very strong combination for creating structure within a relationship, partnership, or important agreement. The Emperor brings stability, commitment, boundaries, and long-term intention. After a month that may expose emotional uncertainty or repeating cycles, you could become much clearer about what you require from people you allow close to you. You may no longer be willing to accept vague intentions, inconsistent communication, or connections that leave you questioning where you stand. The Emperor knows that they are building, and they expect the other person to show up with the same level of maturity and responsibility. With the Two of Cups, this stability appears to involve mutuality. This could represent a romantic connection becoming more committed, reconciliation being approached differently, or two people finally having an honest conversation about what they both want. However, these cards are not only about romance. They can also show a supportive business partnership, an agreement, or a relationship with someone who respects your vision and is willing to build alongside you. The important word here is equal. Two of Cups requires both people to choose the connection, while the Emperor ensures that the connection has a strong enough foundation to survive beyond the initial emotions. For some Scorpios, the Emperor may represent a particular person who becomes more decisive or finally takes responsibility for their role within the relationship. But for others, this is you embodying the Emperor, establishing stronger boundaries and refusing to abandon your own needs to maintain a connection. You may be learning that emotional depth is not enough on its own. A stable relationship also requires consistency, honesty, clear expectations, and two people who are willing to follow through on what they say. After August, something can become much more defined. There may be less guessing and more certainty around who's genuinely willing to meet you, commit to you, or build something lasting with you. Our last question, we're moving to oracle cards. What's the final advice for Scorpio as they navigate August? Okay, so before I read out your message, I have to let you know, for all the other signs, I've been wanting to draw oracle messages from this deck. As I was shuffling this deck, I heard in my head, it's not in this one. So essentially my guides were telling me the message you guys needed to hear is not in here. And so I picked up a different deck. And the card you got is the past, releasing, rebirth, spring. And the message on the card says, and so I listened, as my soul told me, to let the past go, so that I may awaken to how much I have grown. And this feels like the perfect closing message for your reading, Scorpio, because so much of August is about recognizing that you're no longer the person who originally experienced the past. You may still remember what happened, and certain people, emotions, or situations may return for reflection, but you're being asked not to confuse remembering something with needing to return to it. The past may have shaped you, but it does not have to continue defining your choices. There's a strong theme here of rebirth. Judgement already showed us that you're awakening to a new calling. while the Empress showed something new beginning to grow. But for that new chapter to fully open, there may be an old identity, emotional cycle, or attachment you need to stop carrying forward. And spring reminds us that release is not only an ending, it creates the space for new life. You may not immediately see everything that's growing beneath the surface, but that does not mean nothing is happening. August is preparing you for a version of your life that's more aligned, emotionally fulfilling, and stable than what you've known before. Your soul may already be telling you what needs to be released. The advice is to listen. You do not need to keep proving how much you can endure. You do not need to remain loyal to an old chapter simply because it once meant everything to you. Let the past show you how much you've grown, and then allow yourself to move forward. And with that, that's the last message I have for you, Scorpio. I hope you enjoyed your reading. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next reading.